57talk.com. Gary Cubetta back with you again, and it's my pleasure to introduce from how do you pronounce it?
Waxahachie.
Waxahachie, Texas. Killer Tim Brooks. Killer, pleasure to have you with us.
Oh, thank you, Gary. Pleasure to have you.
You've got a wrestling school, very successful. There are a lot of schools out there today, most of them with guys who were never in the ring. But
yeah, I can't understand that. All I can say to the young men and women that want to go to a wrestling school, check the credentials of the coach and make sure that he was a pro wrestler, because how in the world can someone teach someone to wrestle when they've never wrestled themselves? They've never been inside a ring. A person like that cannot teach someone to be a pro wrestler.
Tim, I've talked with a lot of people, and they say one of the big problems in wrestling today is school, that the kids aren't getting good training.
Well, that's exactly what I just said. The guys that are training them have never wrestled. You know, it's real simple. The kids should stop and think. If you want to be a mechanic, you go to a mechanic school, or you go to a mechanic and you tell a mechanic, I want you to teach me to be a mechanic. I want to work with you. Show me how to fix cars. If you want to be a welder, you've got to go get a man that does welding, say, teach me to weld. If you want to lay brick a house, you want to become a bricklayer, you go to a bricklayer and say, teach me. If you want to be a precious stone cutter, you go to a stone cutter, say, teach me to cut stone. If you want to be a professional wrestler in today's pro wrestling, you better make sure you have a pro wrestler for a coach. Because if you don't, you're not going to get proper training, and you're not going to be able to...
And you're going to pay the money for school, and you're going to get out of the school, and you're not going to get any work. You're going to be frustrated. And what good is that for a young kid?
You're not going to get any work. You're not going to get anything, because you won't know anything about wrestling, because the person that cheated you out of your money and told you he could train you, he will not be able to train you, because he never stepped foot in the ring.
Killer, you broke in the early 1970s, worked for one of the all-time legends, Ed Farhat, the original Sheik. I mean,
Ed Farhat, yes. Ed Farhat.
Ed Farhat. Your credentials, second to none, in that you span so many different decades in the game.
Well, I started in, my first matches, I started in 1969 in Odessa, Texas, my first match. And it was a strange way that happened. My cousin was Dirty Dick Murdoch, redneck. His mother died, and I went to Amarillo to my aunt's funeral. When it was over, Murdoch said, instead of going back to Dallas, why don't you come with me and make scripts where I wrestle, and you can help me drive, see each other for a while, and I'll take care of your hotel and just help drive me. And I said, okay, that'd be fun. So off I went with my cousin Dick Murdoch. We made a few shows. About the second or third week, I was in Odessa, Texas, and Dick Murdoch come out of the dressing door, and he motioned for me to come over there. I was setting up the bleach, and I went over the door, and I said, what do you said? You got to wrestle tonight. A guy named the Turk, and he said the Turk got put in jail last night in Old Mexico, and he can't get here. He says, you got to take his place. And I said, I can't do that. I said, I don't know anything about wrestling. No. Murdoch said, well, he said, got to help us out. You got to have a 20-man battle royal, and we need to make 20th man. He says, you got to help us. And I said, no, I don't want to. And about that time, Terry Funk come up behind Dick. Terry Funk said, Tim, you got to help us. You got to help us. And I said, no, Terry, I don't want to. I don't know anything about wrestling. I don't want to do it. Terry said, the famous words in wrestling. He said, Tim will take care of you. And I said, okay, I'm going to help you one time. I was scared to death. They got me back in the dressing room, and I had a lot of hair on my head at that time, and they cut my hair into points on the side and the back and the front, and I looked like Dr. Spock, and he greased it down with Vaseline. He gave me a pair of horrible-looking yellow trunks, no boots, barefooted, and one of the wrestlers had a a sheepskin rug on his car seat. He went and got that, and that was my ring jacket. So out I go into this battle royal in Odessa. And this was in 1969.
Right.
And I got in the ring, and the match started, and all 14 of the guys kicked crap out of me. Beat on me, kicked me, beat me around, threw me around. They threw me on the top rope, and I hit the floor. I was in bad shape. They had to help me back to dressing me. And man, they just beat hell right out of me. That was enough for me. And then the promoter come around and give me a little brown envelope. And I opened the envelope, and it had cash money in it. I said, well, not bad. So still didn't think anything about coming to wrestling. Then a couple of weeks later, same thing happened again. Somebody didn't show up. You got to take a place. And I said, no, don't. I don't know enough. And they said, look, you're going to be in a match with one of the greatest workers in the business. We'll take care of her words. And I said, well, who's the match going to be with? And they said, Dory Funk Jr. And I said, oh, no. I said, I don't wrestle him. I said, no. I said, contender for heavyweight belts. I said, got so much experience and I've got nothing. I don't. And they said, oh, don't worry about it. He'll take care. And it was a TV match. But he took care of me all right. He commenced to tie me up like a pretzel, stretch me, beat me in about 4 minutes. That's my second. But again, I got paid. After the second match, Murdoch said, we gotta start teaching you about wrestling. You can do better. So then at that time, I kept driving him around, and they would start teaching me in the dressing room. Sometimes if we'd get to an arena and the people were not in the building, well, I'd get a little practice or workout in the ring, one of them. Sometimes we'd go to YMCA's and mats, and at the wrestling mats, YMCA, and I just kind of hung with it. I was around the Amarillo territory area there, and wrestling one or two times a week and refereeing one time a week. Just kind of stuck with it, trained more and more. At that time, there were no wrestling. There were none. I mean, you had to get on the road and just get a little job any way you could. At that time, the old-timers, all they wanted to do was beat a young guy up and run him off, because younger guys coming in eventually going to take your job. So it was very rough back in '69 breaking into the wrestling, because you got roughed up every night because the old-timers didn't want you around. They'd try to run you off. I just stuck with it. Finally, Dickie went up to Michigan to work for the Sheik at Farhat, and he teamed up with Dusty Rhodes, and Murdoch and Dusty become the Texas Outlaws. Well, I was stayed in Amarillo, and I worked down there for a little bit longer, maybe wrestle one time a week and referee one time. Well, finally, Murdoch called me and said, come up to Michigan. Ed Farhat's going to let you referee, and you're going to referee 4, 5, 6 nights a week. Well, that would be great, because you're making money 5 or 6 nights a week. But the Michigan's how I started at Farhat, the Sheik.
Killer, when did you go from being a preliminary worker to starting to get a little bit of a push in the business?
Well, I was working for Sheik, and I was refereeing 4 or 5 nights a week, and every time someone would miss a show, he'd have 2 or 3 referees at a show, and every time somebody would miss a show, I would be the fill-in right away. I was like the youngest, best backup guy he had in his dressing room, so every time somebody missed, I would get the shot. And after about 6 months, I wasn't refereeing anymore. I was wrestling every night. And then after about a year, late 71 or early 72, they decided to try to develop me. I wasn't getting like a lot of wins every night, but I was being developed, and I was getting moving up to the second, third match, and occasionally I'd get a win, but I was being worked into the program. And then I guess about 73, they began to push me harder. I changed my name from Tim Brooks to Crazy Killer Brooks. About 73 is when I started to get pushed to semis and main event. Then by 74, I was at main event almost in every town I went to. And also I was a Sheik tag team partner, a lot of setters in Cobalt. 73 and 74 when I got my good break, Michigan by Sheik.
Killer, they had you teaming up with Ben Justice. You won the NWA World Tag Titles 73.
Yes.
And then you came back in 74 with Abdullah the Butcher. Again, NWA Tag Champions. So the Sheik must have thought highly of you to give you that type of a push at such a young age.
Yes, and also I become his partner a lot too. Yeah, well, I worked hard for Sheik, and I enjoy working for him. I lived in Toledo most of the time I was there, but about last year, year and a half, I was up there. I moved right up to Williams. I rode Sheik every time I could, because I'll say right now, even today, now, nobody in this business that could go out there, get the heat that the Sheik gets. Talking about the heat, I'm talking about nobody that could go out there and make the people mad as he could make them. There's, nobody that could do that, not even now. This man had great ring psychology, and he could get people so mad. I've seen people, I studied him, I watched him, because I knew he had this ability. And this is what helped me go to the top. What helped me go around the world, watching Sheik and watching how he made the people mad and things did. I mean, I studied him like a hawk. I learned a lot. Sheik's a great man. I've seen him almost have a riot, people throwing chairs and trying to cut him and stab him and get to him walking to the ring. He hadn't even had his match. He hadn't done anything to the babyface. Just walking from the dressing room to the ring. I've seen him cause near riots just walking. His entry to the guy was fantastic. A lot of people back in the early 70s, when I'm talking about the period I'm talking about, a lot of promoters and a lot of other wrestlers, they knocked him, because that was way back, and everybody just wanted just old wrestling, no gimmick, no blood, no gimmicks, no no fighting on the. They just wanted in the ring, wrestling on the mat, and that was not Sheik's style. He went crazy and wild and used gimmicks and fought on the floor, and his thing was a fight from the minute he got in the ring until he left. He was very exciting. Like I said, nobody that could make the people madder than Sheik.
Killer, what were those shows like in Cobo Hall in the early 70s? I've heard that the heat was extraordinary.
The what?
The fans, they were so excited. You know, there was such an excitement about those early Cobo shows.
I'll tell you could, Cobo compared to today's arena was not that big of an arena. I wouldn't even know what it would seat. I would say it would probably seat 10 or 12,000. I mean, I'm not really sure. Maybe you know. Do you know what Cobo Hall holds?
I think it's something like that. I don't know exactly offhand.
I think it's about a 10 or 12,000 seat arena. I'm going to tell you, man, it would be electrifying in there, and it would build up. He had a lot of good talent. When we run Cobo every Saturday, there was a talent all over the country there. It just seemed like he had such good talent in there. Man, we had like 15 or 20 sellouts in a row.
Wow.
And there's always a good house, and it seemed like it was such good talent that the excitement and the heat would build from the first match. It would start building right there because he had good, capable talent even on the first match. Then the next match would take the crowd a little higher, and the next match a little higher. And sometimes the semis would have been top main events anywhere else in the world. And sometimes the match before the semi would have been main events anywhere else. But by the time you got to the Sheik in the last match, I'm telling you, the people, sometimes I've seen him go out in Cobo Hall and everyone stand, and through his whole match, no one sat down.
Wow.
Just stand the whole time he was in the ring. I mean, I don't think there was ever a heel like the Sheik. I give him a lot of praise. Great wrestler. He had a big heart, man.
Killer, what was it like driving around with him? What would he, he's kind of a mystery man in today's world of wrestling.
He was happy man. I mean, he was happy, and most of the time when we drive around, we talk at wrestling, talk about how to make rest better, how to make me better, how to make the other guys better, how to make the professional wrestling, true pro wrestlers only think of one thing, to make their business better. He always wanted to draw bigger crowds, make better, and a good man was wrestling. You
were there for the promotional war when Dick the Bruiser came in town, right?
Yes, I was.
What was his attitude towards that? I mean, that was pretty controversial at the time.
Well, I wrestled after that war was over. I wrestled as Sheik's tag team partner against Dick the Bruiser and Bobo Brazil in a cage match in Cobo Hall. That's once Dick decided to stop running in Detroit. Once he said he was through with his opposition, or whatever you'd like to call it, and told him and Sheik, decided that Dick wasn't going to run anymore. Well, then Sheik, being the businessman that he is, saw opportunity for Big Gate, because everybody knew that Bruiser was opposition to Indiana. I mean, the wrestling fans knew it, the magazine knew it, everybody knew it, and that did some real big business. At the end of that feud with, like I said, the first time we got together was a cage match with Sheik and I against Dick and Bobo. And then after that, I wrestled Bobo, and Sheik went in a program with Dick, and I forget how many weeks they got out of it, but I'll tell you something. Did you know Dick the Bruiser?
Of course.
He's a pretty good wrestler, too. People believed in him, and I'll tell you, the matches that Sheik and Dick had, great matches, man.
Killer, something very strange happened, and that's that the Sheik clearly won the promotional war. They had the huge matches with Dick the Bruiser versus the Sheik, but then the Sheik's promotion seemed to go almost into a rapid decline. Do you know why that happened?
Oh, God, I don't know exactly why it happened.
He was so strong, and then suddenly...
I think when Sheik business was, when it was really strong, he stayed there in his territory, and he was right there in his territory every day, taking care of it, wrestling on the cards, taking care of it. The territory got such good shape, and they had built me up pretty high, and they built from Farrell Purple up. Tony Marino was built up. Tex McKenzie was built up strong. Ben Justice was built up strong. We were making money everywhere we went. Everywhere we went in Ohio, Michigan, we made money. And there's a lot of big cities up in that area. So we were really doing good. And then the Sheik said he wanted to go on the road and make more money, because the other promoters paid Sheik well because he could draw houses. He started going on the road, and he left all of us there to be the main event, and he went on the road. So he was always the top star there. People are educated to what they see on TV, and then all of a sudden he's not on the card anymore because he's going to New York, he's going to L.A., he's going to Japan. Well, he's not working in his own territory anymore. And I think that began to hurt his air once he started traveling. Was there? I mean, we still did good houses. I don't understand. We kept the houses up. We kept the house good. I know there was a guy there with in Sheik's company named Jack Kane, the producer, plus he run the show. Run the show. He went opposition against the Sheik. I hate to say it. He talked me into going with him.
Oh, you ran opposition against Sheik?
Yes, one of the biggest fakes.
This wasn't in the mid 70s. This must have been near the end, right?
Yes, before the end.
Oh, I didn't know this.
Might have been 75. Well, you wanted a shoot interview, didn't you?
Wow.
Jack Kane, he talked me into going over with him. Ben Justice went with him. Tony Marino with him. The Love Brothers went with him. A lot of the Sheik crew. Jack Kane's new company. I think that was the start of Sheik's down.
Did you guys wrestle in Cobalt against the Sheik? No. Killer? Oh my God. Okay, folks. We'll have to continue. He was on a cell phone. Okay, Killer Tim Brooks, part 1.